Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Hope you're all alright, hope you've had a good week. Sorry that this video is late. It has been a bit of a full-on week, if truth be told. But this week's video is a video that I have really been quite looking forward to doing. If you follow me on Instagram, which I hope that you do, if you don't, pause this video, head over to Instagram at @AmberInATeacup and hit follow on there. If you follow me on there, you will see that my best friend has a baby due imminently. I did a video quite some time ago, about 6 months ago now, about finding out that she was pregnant and how I was coping with that. So obviously fast forward a few months and the baby is almost here, and if truth be told, I am so excited. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have her little baby and have really squidgy newborn cuddles. I am really excited. I didn't think I would feel the way that I do, but I'm absolutely buzzing, if truth be told. Anyway, because of the delightful coronavirus, we have had to postpone her baby shower twice. So my initial plan, we had about 20 people. We were all going to a really nice bar type place, and they do things like tapas. They do all this really nice different food, as well as afternoon tea, standard sandwiches. Really, really lovely. So we'd booked all that in a place called Stamford, which is a really nice market town. If you haven't been, I really recommend it. It is really, really lovely. It's really picturesque, really idyllic. I just love it. I think it's ever so nice. So we'd booked to go there, but obviously that was postponed. We postponed it to June with the hope that maybe if we couldn't have everybody, we could perhaps have half the amount of people. But obviously that still didn't happen. So the baby shower was kind of cancelled, and to be honest, at first I was okay with that, as I wasn't really in the right headspace to be going to a baby shower. But as time went on, I started to feel really guilty about it, and not because of how I felt. I started to feel really guilty because this is her first child. It's not her fault that I'm in the situation that I'm in, and if it was me, I would be absolutely gutted that this one day I was really looking forward to was just snatched from under me. So I decided I was going to do a surprise baby shower for her. Now, in the end, it wasn't a surprise, so a few different things happened, which I really won't go into, but ultimately she ended up finding out, and it was a good job, because I think, was it a surprise, she might have gone into early labour, and I didn't want that on my hands, so it was a good thing that she knew. So what we did was I just invited, as we can only obviously socialise in groups of 6 at the moment, her and I are 2 of those, so I quite literally invited her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, her mum and her auntie. So there were 8 of us. No, there weren't, there were 6 of us, I just said that. There were 6 of us, and we went and had a really nice afternoon tea style picnic down at the river near where we live, and it was lovely. So we all sat along the River Nene and sat and ate a lovely picnic. We played some games, and it was a really, really nice afternoon. So I figured this video I would just kind of talk to you about how I mentally prepared myself for that, how I dealt with planning that baby shower, and then as well how you can successfully have a socially distanced little gathering. So grab yourself a cup of tea or a cold drink, because it is absolutely scorching today. Get yourself all comfy, and we're going to talk all things baby shower as an infertile. Welcome back, guys. If you haven't already, before we carry on, please do make sure that you pause this video and that you hit the subscribe button. I really, really do appreciate all of your following. Obviously it really does help support my channel, so thank you ever so much for doing that. So let's get started. So a baby shower, they're quite American things really, aren't they? Like, they're quite new. Like, I don't remember growing up my mum ever going to any baby showers or anything like that. Like, they are really quite new things, I think. So yeah, when it came to obviously my friend telling me that she was having her baby, I kind of straight away was like, well, I'm planning a baby shower, like, that's fine. I think I kind of threw myself into that quite quickly, because I didn't want her to feel like I was upset about it in any way, shape or form. And I wasn't, like, I was really happy for her. Like, obviously if you've seen my previous video about that, then you'll know that I obviously wasn't, at first I was upset, but I was upset for me, not her. I was over the moon for her. Like, she has been such a good support to me throughout all of this. So when it came to her baby shower, I wanted to be able to give that back to her. So that is exactly what I did. Now, when it came to planning it, she is due, well, this weekend, so she's due at the end of June, and when I started planning her baby shower, initially she wanted it in April. My first bit of advice when planning a baby shower as an infertile is that you do need to stick to your guns a little bit, and if you know that you're not going to be okay with something, you do need to vocalise that. I think there's ways of going about it. You don't need to be really aggressive with things, you don't need to be really standoffish. I think if they are that much of a good friend or they're a close family member, anything like that, you should know how to communicate with them as just a basis of your friendship. So I think communication is really key. We obviously started our IVF in March, so I said to her, look, that's fine. If you want to have the baby shower in April, like, that is absolutely fine, but can you please get somebody else to plan it on the basis that if our IVF fails, I don't want to be then literally a few days later going to a baby shower. So I can't promise that I'm going to be in the right headspace to plan that during that time. She was absolutely fine with that, which is why we ultimately went for May. So obviously it is, I think, just communicating and verbalising how you feel. I think it is really important, and if they're that much of a good friend and a good enough friend for you to obviously be planning this baby shower for them and all the rest of it, it is really hard when you're looking at all the different things. Obviously there's gifts involved, there's games involved, and you are looking at them all and thinking, I really wish this was me. And I think especially after ours failed, and knowing that had our first round worked, it would have been around the time that we were having my baby shower. Like, there are certain things that are quite triggering and it is quite hard. So I think my advice is give yourself plenty of time to do it. I gave myself 6 months to do this. I started planning it from the word go, which to a lot of people was really early. And there were a lot of people that I think when I were messaging initially were quite surprised that I was doing it so early, but obviously my reason for that was so that I was okay to do it. Like, I would literally maybe do 15-20 minutes of it once a week, and just getting things together, getting a few ideas, and that was that. I would make a Pinterest board and I would pin certain things to it, and that would be it. The other thing I did was that I refused to do it on my own. Like, I didn't want to do it completely on my own, because if it did get too much, I didn't then want to feel like I have to hold my hands up and this is not going to go ahead because I physically can't do it. So I drafted in her sister-in-law. I am very lucky to know her sister-in-law and be quite good friends with her sister-in-law, so it worked out in my favour. I'm also going to apologise for any background noise that you get during this video. I have a road next to me, and apparently, you know, people have decided that they're going to race up and down that today, and on top of that we've got an electrician doing some work, so you might every now and again hear a drill or a motorbike or something, so sorry. But yeah, so I think it's really important that you communicate with other people going. You might not always have that relationship, so I do understand that's hard, but I chose her sister-in-law. Her mum was also aware of what was going on with me, but her sister-in-law especially really wanted to help, so that was really handy for me, that there were times where I kind of did lose focus on it and I didn't really want to do it. And her sister-in-law would kind of pick up where I had left it, which was really helpful for me, and I really appreciated that help. And there were times where, like on the actual day of the baby shower, I was getting a bit panicky, where she would ring me in the morning and just calm me down, and it was really nice. So I do think finding somebody else that you can confide in, even if it's not somebody that the mother knows, if you have a friend who knows what you're going through, who wouldn't mind just helping you out a little bit, there's no harm in that. I think, no, they might not be coming, but as a friend, surely they want to support you doing that. So I did have friends who I knew would help me if I needed them to, etc, 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 and you know, I would have just got them a bunch of flowers or a bottle of wine or something to say thank you. So I do think that's really important. Again, communication is absolutely key. If truth be told, I think it is impossible to get through a baby shower when you're infertile without things being a little bit triggering, especially if you're doing the planning. Now, if you're attending, again, it's a really triggering situation. So I was quite relieved that I wasn't going to be in a group of 20 people, some of who are new mothers, some who are mothers, and everybody sharing birth stories while I'm sat there like, yay. So this was the first baby shower I had ever been to. I'd never been to one before, I'd never planned one before, so this was quite a new thing for me. So I quite liked the fact that it was obviously this socially distanced picnic, if you like. I did everything I could for her, so we got like, obviously because you can't touch this, that and the other, I was very mindful of all the games. I was mindful of the fact that she's been in isolation for God knows how long. So we played games where we did, and first of all we just did those advice cards, which were really good. You guess the weight, you guess the date of birth, you guess the time of birth and what features it will have from which parent, etc. And they were really nice. I think they were a really nice, cute little keepsake for her. She had been texting people saying, oh, what date do you think? So I think it was quite nice for her to have those that she can keep. And then we did another game where we had, obviously a lot of people do this, but we had to obviously do it differently. A game where you guess what's in the nappy. So a lot of the time what you will do is you will obviously melt it and have it out, and you have to guess what they are. The way that we did it was I'd quite literally wrapped a nappy, which I had disinfected, which I then just filled with certain sweets and chocolate. So there was like dairy milk in one, Oreo in another, Oreo in another, and Oreo I said, didn't I? So we had 4 nappies. We had dairy milk in one, Oreo in another, Oreo in the other, and Haribo. So they were all quite distinct things. I didn't want her, you know, smelling something really gross and I'd put like curry powder in it or something like that. Although that would have been a really good prank. But yeah, so it was quite literally a case of she just had to smell it, put her hand in there and figure out what it was. I'd crushed it all up and it was a hot day, so it was a bit melted. So it was good fun. But obviously I had to do that in gloves and all the rest of it. It was very inconvenient and a really long... Sorry, my dog has farted. I'm not even going to tell you what it's like sitting in this room right now. It's boiling hot and I'm just surrounded by dog fart. This is disgusting. So Bruce has recently learned to come upstairs. He hasn't been allowed upstairs before because when we had Tila, she was a bit of a nightmare and just used to destroy everything. So we stopped her coming upstairs, mainly because she was a long-haired German Shepherd as well. So her hair used to get everywhere. So now I'm working from home, or will be as of this week. Bruce, I've decided, can come upstairs, and yeah, so now he's sat here while I'm filming. He's just sat in the corner over there, and yeah, he's decided to guff while we're at it. So great, thanks for that, Bruce. 10 out of 10. Anyway, I've lost where I was. So that was the game that we played. It was really good. She really enjoyed it. And yeah, it went really, really well. And I was really impressed actually. And I was really proud of myself for doing that. There are obviously times where you're talking about her birth and you're talking about what her plan is and all the rest of it and what's going to be like having a child, and people are sharing their stories. So her sister-in-law would share the story of when she had her too, and her mum and all the rest of it would all be sharing these stories, and obviously I'm a bit left out of that. So I try and involve myself as much as possible and just ask questions like, oh really, and just things like that, just so you're involving yourself but not too much. I also really like the setting because I was capable of just zoning out and looking at the ducks and watching other people do what they wanted to do. So I do think it's important. I think it is hard, obviously, if things are still fresh. I don't know obviously what your mindset is. I'm trying to get into the mindset of this is okay and this could be my life, and if my life is like this then this is okay. So it's important that I learn to switch myself off. So I'm quite good at that, if I'm honest. I think I can quite easily lose focus and stare into something. So that's what I would do. While they were talking things, I would just faff about. I'd move things about, or I'd sit, but I wouldn't make it really obvious that I was uncomfortable because I don't think there's any need to. There were obviously the comments from people who aren't necessarily fully aware. So like her mum, for example, that would then say to me, oh, were you next? And it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it might be, you know, and you know, whatever. Like, they're innocent comments, and I know that they're really hard to process sometimes, but people are never going to say things like that to you to be malicious. I think people don't expect you to be infertile, and I think it's not the top of people's minds. And I know before I was in this situation that I would make comments like that without even thinking. So I do think it's innocent, and I think you need to be very aware of that and try not to let it get to you. If you want to get home and then cry, get home and then cry. But for me, I think it was really quite, I don't know, I didn't think it was as bad as I thought. I did come home and feel a bit deflated and feel a bit, I wish that was me, but then I took the dog for a walk and I felt better and I was absolutely fine. She really appreciated what I did. She was ever so thankful. She knows that it wasn't necessarily easy for me. But I think that is it. I think communication is so important with this, and you have to communicate with other people about how you're feeling. If you try and bottle everything up, like, it's just not going to work. But like I said in my video, when she announced her pregnancy to me, I did not want to be that friend that missed out on her pregnancy. And it is really hard and it does take some time. But I think once you get used to the idea, I think if you want it to, it will go away. And I think you eventually do understand that her being pregnant and them having a child is not reducing your chances any less, and that when it's your turn, they will be over the moon for you and they will support you wholeheartedly. So for me, I was like, I need to do that now. And it does take a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of doing. And initially I was really uncomfortable, and she'd come around and I couldn't even look at her. And I'd really struggled to have conversations about the baby. But now I feel like I'm excited, and there's part of me that thinks, do you know what, this is great. I get to be really, really involved in this child's life. The drill's going again. I get to be really, really involved in this child's life and get all the cuddles and do all the babysitting and go on these fun days out and spoil this child without the nappy changing, without being covered in poo, without the sleepless nights, without being covered in sick, without the tantrums. Like, I get the best bits. So for me, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Bring it on. I am so excited to have this little baby and be fun Auntie Amber. That has kind of been forced on her. She probably hates me for that, but I call myself Auntie Amber constantly. I think I've forced that name. And it's gonna stick. It's gonna stick, I'm telling you now. But yeah, so I think now, I don't know, I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm so buzzing to have this little baby and be like, yay! And spoil it rotten. So I don't know why I'm so excited. I think it is just because I've communicated with her. Like, I told her exactly how I felt. I'd had a glass of wine and I felt a bit loose, as it were. And I did sit there and say, look, I am really happy for you, but this is how I feel. It came as a shock. Blah-de-blah-de-blah, that's all in my other video. But I did communicate it all to her, and it just made everything so much easier because she understood. And I think we did go through a bit of a stage where she didn't want to tell me anything because she didn't want to upset me. Like, when she found out the gender, I found out through my husband, who had found out through her husband, like, and that upset me. But again, I had to vocalise that and say, look, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable around me. I want you just to tell me things. I'll say that's great, but can we have this conversation tomorrow, kind of thing. And you know, I was over the moon, and when I found out she was having a boy, everything kind of got a bit more real, and I realised that this was really happening. And then when I had that conversation, things changed, and she will tell me things now, and she will just text me out of the blue and update me on this, that and the other. And I like it. I really do like it, because she is my best friend and I don't want to miss out on any of this. I am so excited. Like, she is under strict instruction to tell me the second that girl is in labour. And I can't wait now. And I think, I always said that it would be different when the baby is here, but I think it changes when the baby is nearly here. I think I have really got to a point now where I'm over the moon, as you can tell. So I don't know, it's hard to get through, but communication is absolutely key. Communicate, write it down, keep a journal, talk to someone who's not involved with it, talk to someone who is involved with it, talk to your other half. They're gonna get it. You know, my husband isn't as, I think, emotionally affected by this as I am. Like, I don't think other people having babies really gets to him, whereas obviously it really does get to me. Maybe that's just because he's a man, I don't know, but just talk. That is literally my only advice. Talk and explain. Obviously the mother, like I say, you should be good enough friends to be able to have that conversation. Your infertility is not something to be ashamed of, and it's not something that I think should be kept in the dark either. It's part of who you are. It's part of your story. It's part of the reason you are the way you are. So to me, share it. So ultimately, that's my advice, that you need to talk to it, talk about it. It was a really lovely day. It was very stressful. You know, there was part of me in the morning that was like, this is really hard for me. Why have I done this? But I was glad I did. I was really, really glad I did, because the look on her face and how happy she was and how much of a good time everyone had. I loved that I'd been part of that, and I loved that that was because of me. Had I not planned it, I don't know if I'd have felt any different, but like I say, when you're there, I think you just have to grin and bear it. And as hard as that is, I think if you're not okay with it and you don't want to go and you don't feel like you're at a place in your head where you can go and you can even let loose a little bit, then don't go, and verbalise that, and verbalise, look, as much as I really want to be there, I just don't think I can do it at the moment, and do something separate with the two of you. Just go for a coffee or go for a little afternoon tea somewhere. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think as long as you have communicated how you feel, you've been honest and you've been nice about it, it's not their fault that you're in this situation. And I think that's something that we all need to try and remember every now and again, that they didn't put us in this situation, and they should be understanding. And so to me, I think, was anybody else planning it and I didn't feel like I could go and should have done it in that April, I would have said, I don't feel like I can be here. I'm not in the right headspace and I'm not going to enjoy it, and I'm just going to be upset, which is obviously going to ruin your day. However, let's do something separate, me and you. We can go. I'd still get her the present, all the rest of it. but it's on my, not on, yeah, it's on your terms. Sounds a bit awful, but it is, it's on your terms. And so you can meet, you can go have this non-alcoholic drink or do whatever it is you want to do, just the two of you. And I think as long as you don't just completely veto it, you're not rude about it and you're just like, no, why would I want to come? But that's it, I think you just have to communicate it. So that would be my advice. Obviously I've said before, you know, my inbox is always open. I'm always answering questions. Like I have my blog, obviously www.amberinateacup.com. Every Saturday I am answering your questions. If you do have questions for me that you want answering, infertility, non-infertility relating, whatever, then do send me an email, amberinateacup@outlook.com. Just put Ask Amber in the subject box. I'm happy to answer anything, baby showers, you name it. I will give you my advice on there. There's a whole page on there. So tonight's one is more body confidence, and is people, you know, somebody whose husband I don't think has been particularly nice about a weight gain, so that's an interesting one. So yeah, if you do have any questions, there's anything else that you feel like you're not coping with, anything like that, do head over, do send me an email and I will publish that answer on the blog. I do it all anonymously, and I do reply to every single email that I receive, so do head over there and send that email over. But other than that, if I don't see you through it week, I'll see you through it winter. But yeah, head over to my Instagram again at Amber in a Teacup. Make sure if you do like this video, you give me a big thumbs up, that you leave me a little comment down below, and please do subscribe to the channel. I will see you next week. I start my new job this week, so I leave my job. I've got a night shift tonight and tomorrow is my last ever shift. So that is it, I'm losing my job. I'm not losing my job, oh my God, I wasn't sacked. So I'm changing my job. This week I go to a normal 9-to-5 job. Normal hours, normal sleep pattern. I've never been so excited for anything in my entire life, so I will do a vlog on that during the week at some point. So at the moment I don't know what next week's video is, but you know, we'll see. There's a few different things I want to do. I have so much at the moment that is going on in my head that, to be honest, I think I just need to write it all down and just try and chill a little bit, because I'm like a child on speed at the moment, which really isn't very exciting. I mean, it's exciting for my brain, but it's not exciting for everyone else, because I'm just like all the time. So anyway, yeah, I will see you next week. Thanks for watching and I'll see you later. Love you all. Bye.